Welcome to Trips Talks Mind Time, a space to challenge assumptions, spark curiosity, and talk about what really matters. The description alone in this so-called documentary throws up red flags. Before I even hit play, the ideological fingerprints were obvious. Manipulative framing, emotional buzzwords, and a narrative crafted to guilt you into submission. Everything you need to know is in the first 30 minutes. I've condensed it to highlight 10 of their core claims, break them down to expose their self-righteous venom for what it really is. I let them speak for themselves, then I peel back the layers and reveal the truth, hiding behind their moral grandstanding, strategic misdirection, false assumptions, anti-human undertones, and yes, even open calls for genocidal solutions, all dressed up in a Hollywood-style polished veneer of planetary concern. But this isn't a documentary. It's a cinematic sermon of eco-authoritarian propaganda, not aimed at elites, but at you, the average everyday citizen who just wants to live and thrive in a world flooded with dogma, disinformation, and disingenuous ideologues wielding unchecked power. But don't just take my word for it. Let's allow them to show you their real colors. After all, as far as they're concerned, we're just primates, incapable of rational thought and in desperate need of control.
In defining progress, I think it's very important to make a distinction between good progress and bad progress. I mean, things progress in the sense that they change. Both in nature and in human society, there appears to be a clear trend towards increasing complexity as change proceeds. We tend to delude ourselves that these changes always result in improvements from the human point of view. We're now reaching a point at which technological progress and the increase in our economies and our numbers threaten the very existence of humanity.
Technological progress isn't inherently dangerous. What's dangerous is bad leadership and misuse of progress. The very same ingenuity they blame is what makes solutions possible. Solution: focus innovation on sustainability and resilience, not fear or retreat.
It seems like we're stuck in this trap for the last 200 years since the Industrial Revolution, where we think progress is more of the same. Like, we should make our machines better and get more machines. But we've been doing that for 200 years, so doing more of that is not progress. We're like stuck in this, like a record.
Progress isn't just more machines. It's better health, longer lives, and more freedom. That's worth celebrating, not mourning. Solution: invest in technologies and practices that improve lives and reduce harm, rather than fetishizing growth for its own sake.
I came up with the term progress trap to define human behaviors that sort of seem to be good things, seem to provide benefits in the short term, but which ultimately lead to disaster because they're unsustainable. And one example would be going right back into the old Stone Age, the time of when our ancestors were hunting mammoths. They reached a point where their weaponry and their hunting techniques got so good that they destroyed hunting as a way of life throughout most of the world. The people who discovered how to kill 2 mammoths instead of 1 had made real progress. But the people who discovered that they could eat really well by driving a whole herd over a cliff and kill 200 at once had fallen into a progress trap. They'd made too much progress.
We are not the same as Stone Age hunters. Our capacity for ethics, cooperation, and sustainability has grown alongside our tools. Solution: leverage our evolved moral sense to make wiser, longer-term choices as stewards of the planet.
Our physical bodies and our physical brains, as far as we can tell, have changed very little in the past 50,000 years. We are essentially the same people as those Stone Age hunters. What makes our way of life different from theirs is culture has taken off at an exponential rate and has really become completely detached from the pace of natural evolution. So we are running 21st century software, our knowledge, on hardware that hasn't been upgraded for 50,000 years. And this lies at the core of many of our problems.
We are not running Stone Age software. Our values, intellect, and culture have evolved as much as our technologies. Solution: continue advancing education, critical thinking, and civic responsibility to match our tools to our times.
All of this is because our human nature is back in the hunting-gathering era of the old Stone Age, whereas our knowledge and our technology, in other words, our ability to do both good and harm to ourselves and to the world in general, has grown out of all proportion.
We're not trapped in a Stone Age mindset. Our capacity to reason, empathize, and build complex societies has grown with us, intellectually and morally. Solution: we grow by design, not default. Our minds aren't outdated, they're evolving tools we must learn to use wisely.
Arguably, we are the most intellectual creature that's ever walked on planet Earth. So how come then that this so intellectual being is destroying its only home? Because we only have the one home.
Being the most intelligent species doesn't make us evil. It makes us responsible, capable of self-awareness, empathy, and learning from our mistakes. Solution: reject defeatism. Channel intelligence toward creative, accountable problem-solving instead of despair.
Between the fall of the Roman Empire and Columbus sailing, it took 13 centuries to add 200 million people to the world's population. Now it takes only 3 years. A simple thing like pasteurization, the warming of milk so that the bacteria are killed, and the control of smallpox, things like that have led to a great boom in human numbers. So overpopulation, which nobody really wants to talk about because it cuts at things like religious beliefs and the freedom of the individual and the autonomy of the family and so forth, is something that we're going to have to deal with.
Population growth is already slowing worldwide. The real problem is inequitable distribution and waste, not the number of people on the planet. Solution: improve resource distribution, reduce waste, and empower local communities to self-manage responsibly.
We probably have to work towards a much smaller worldwide population than 6 or 7 billion. We probably need to go down to a half that, or possibly even a third of that, if everybody is going to live comfortably and decently.
Cutting the human population by half or more isn't sustainability. It's a death cult dressed up as environmentalism. Solution: promote life-affirming policies and innovation that lift everyone rather than eliminating anyone. Environmentalism isn't about saving the planet. It's about deciding who gets to live on it. The goal isn't harmony with nature, it's ownership over it. And to the architects of this agenda, it means reducing the population by up to 2/3, so the wealthy elite can have it all to themselves. And net zero is not a climate strategy, it's a numbers game. And for us useless eaters, as they like to call us, we're the zeros in their equation. This is simply eugenics rebranded as carbon reduction, and we're the carbon they want to reduce. Didn't we already agree that exterminating people for ideological reasons was pure evil? Have we forgotten World War II's lesson already?
Let's say in China, maybe 200, 300 million people are quote-unquote affluent. They could afford, relatively speaking, what we can in the West. In India, and also whatever, 200 million. So you add up these affluent segments of population in these developing countries or marginalized countries, but still you come up with no more than 1.5, maybe 2 billion people. So there is still 5 billion people waiting to tap into these bonanzas of, plentiful food, cars, decent housing, right? Higher education for their children. So the potential demand for resources is immense.
We're not passive consumers of resources. We innovate, recycle, and improve efficiency every generation. Solution: encourage regenerative practices and smarter use of resource through technology and local stewardship.
And now, of course, we have one huge civilization all around the world, which we have to confront the possibility that the entire experiment of civilization is in itself a progress trap.
Civilization isn't a fire burning itself out, it's a light, one we have a duty to keep burning brighter. Solution: strengthen civic culture, moral leadership, and respect for limits, without abandoning the human spirit of progress. Humanity itself isn't the problem. The real damage comes from poor leadership, unchecked greed, and zero accountability. The same forces behind most of our social and economic crises. And by now, I think we've all had enough of the planet-first ideological sleight of hand. The next time you watch one of these highly polished documentaries, don't just watch it, question it, dissect it. Pay attention to what's being implied, not just what's being shown. And call out anyone who tries to convince you.
There's too many people on this planet.
Because humanity isn't the enemy, we're the solution.